Nyah, Jabari, and Tkano traveled across the Great Scar, a wasteland of cracked earth and howling winds. Every step brought them closer to the fortress of the Black Sun. But something was wrong. The air felt heavy. The shadows watched them. Then, in the dead of night, they were attacked. Dark creatures, summoned by Zubari, burst from the earth. Nyah fought with everything she had, her beads blazing like the sun. But there were too many. And then, Tkano screamed. Nyah turned in time to see a shadow creature dragging him into the darkness. Tkano. But he was gone. And she could do nothing. Tkano's loss was a wound deeper than any blade. Jabari clenched his fists, his grief silent but heavy. Nyah refused to cry. She couldn't afford to. Her mother was still out there. And she would not lose anyone else. She turned to the fortress of the Black Sun, looming in the distance. We end this. Now. They reached the fortress under the cover of darkness. Guards patrolled the entrance, their armor gleaming under the moonlight. Nyah closed her eyes, reaching out with her power. The shadows whispered. She felt her mother's presence, weak but alive. And then, something else. A familiar presence. She turned sharply. Jabari was gone. Nyah's blood turned to ice. She turned in time to see Jabari standing beside Zubari. Her father. Betraying her. Zubari's cruel laughter echoed. Did you really think he was here to save you? Nyah's world shattered. No, this isn't true. Jabari's eyes were cold. Forgive me, daughter, he said. But I have made my choice. And then, he struck. Pain. Betrayal. Fury. Nyah's body moved on instinct, dodging Jabari's attack. Her heart screamed. Her mind refused to understand. But one thing was clear. She was alone. And she had to fight. Zubari raised his hand, a dark energy crackled. End her. Jabari lunged. And Nyah fought for her life. Nyah's heart pounded as she locked eyes with her father. Jabari. The man she had longed for, fought for, and risked everything to find, now stood beside Zubari, his expression cold. This isn't real, she whispered. You wouldn't do this. Jabari's gaze remained unreadable. Then, without a word, he attacked. Nyah barely dodged as his blade slashed through the air. The wind of the strike sent her stumbling back. Why, she cried. Why are you doing this? Jabari's voice was quiet but heavy. Because I have no choice. Zubari's laughter echoed. Your father was always a coward, little girl. He knew he could never defeat me, so he chose the only path left, survival. Nyah's hands clenched into fists. Liar. But Jabari didn't deny it. And that shattered her more than any blade ever could. Nyah's sorrow twisted into something darker. Rage. If her father had truly chosen to stand against her, then she had no choice but to fight. She unleashed her power. Golden flames erupted from her hands, blazing like the sun itself. Jabari's eyes flickered with something, regret. Pain. But he did not stop. They clashed. Father against daughter. The battle was fast, brutal. Jabari fought with skill, but Nyah was faster, stronger, and fueled by heartbreak. Zubari merely watched, a smug smile on his face. Then, Jabari hesitated. Just for a moment. Nyah saw her opening. She struck. Her flames hit him square in the chest, sending him crashing to the ground. She stood over him, breathless, furious, devastated. Finish him, Zubari said, his voice like poisoned honey. Nyah's fingers trembled. Could she? Would she? Jabari's eyes met hers, and in them she saw the truth. This was a trap. Jabari had never truly betrayed her. He had played along, deceiving Zubari, waiting for the right moment. And now, as he lay wounded, he whispered, "Strike me down, daughter." Nyah's mind reeled. If she killed him, Zubari would believe she had given in to her rage. But if she refused, the trap would be lost. Her hands glowed brighter. And then, she did the unthinkable. She struck. Jabari let out a cry of pain. The smell of scorched flesh filled the air. Zubari's smile widened. "Good girl." Jabari's body slumped. Nyah forced herself not to react. She turned to Zubari. "Now let me see my mother." Zubari chuckled. "Patience, child. You are not yet ready for that reunion." But Nyah was ready. And she was done playing by his rules. That night, as Nyah sat alone in the fortress, a voice whispered from the darkness. "Do not trust what you see." Nyah spun around. A hooded figure emerged from the shadows. A woman. She pulled back her hood, revealing Tkano. Nyah gasped. "You're alive." Tkano's eyes burned with urgency. "I never died." Zubari wanted you to believe that. He wanted to break you. Nyah's heart pounded. "Jabari. He's alive too. Your strike was not fatal. He is playing the long game. But we must act fast." Nyah nodded, her resolve hardening. "Then we end this. Tonight." With Tkano's help, Nyah slipped through the fortress, moving like a shadow. They reached the underground dungeon. Her mother was there. But she wasn't alone. Zubari stood beside her, waiting. "You really thought I wouldn't see this coming," he sneered. Nyah's blood ran cold. She had walked into another trap. Zubari's power exploded outward, dark energy filling the room. Tkano moved fast, but Zubari struck her down with a flick of his hand. Nyah barely had time to react before he came for her. They clashed, light against darkness, fire against shadow. Her mother's cries echoed through the chamber. Nyah poured every ounce of her power into the fight. And then, she saw it. Zubari's weakness. A black scar on his chest, pulsing with darkness. It was his source of power. And if she could destroy it, she could end him. Nyah lunged, aiming for the scar. Zubari sensed her intent. He fought harder. Blow after blow, she weakened. Her strength was fading. Then, Jabari appeared. Bloodied, barely standing, but alive. And in his hands, a dagger carved from the bones of the ancient kings. "Nyah," he roared. Now, she understood. With one final burst of power, she launched herself at Zubari. And struck the scar. Zubari's scream shook the heavens. The darkness in him shattered. His body convulsed. His eyes went wide with horror. And then, he crumbled into dust. The fortress of the Black Sun began to collapse. Nyah ran to her mother, breaking her chains. Jabari pulled Tkano to his feet. Together, they escaped. As the fortress collapsed behind them, Zubari's reign was finally over. Nyah, her parents, and Tkano returned to the sacred lands of the Leopard clan. The people, long oppressed by Zubari, rejoiced. Jabari stood before them, his voice strong. "The darkness is gone. And my daughter, Nyah, is the future of our people." The crowd cheered. But Nyah knew her journey was not yet over. As the sun rose, Nyah stood atop the great cliffs of her homeland. She had found her father, saved her mother, defeated Zubari. But her destiny was just beginning. She touched the glowing beads around her neck. Their power still hummed. Somewhere beyond the horizon, new threats waited. And she would be ready. Because she was Nyah, daughter of fire and light. And this was only the beginning. The morning after Zuberi's fall, Nyah stood on the cliffs, watching the sunrise over the land she had fought to reclaim. She should have felt peace. But she didn't. Something was wrong. The beads around her neck, her father's gift, her mother's last hope, began to glow again. But this time, the glow was different. Darker. Warning her. "Do you feel it?" a voice asked behind her. She turned. It was Tkano. Nyah nodded. "Something is coming." Tkano's expression was grim. Not something. Someone. The leopard clan had barely begun rebuilding when the first attack came. A messenger arrived, bloodied and gasping. "The Shadow Queen," he choked. "She is coming." Nyah's blood turned cold. "The Shadow Queen," she repeated. Jabari's face darkened. Zuberi was only a pawn. His true master was always in the shadows. And now, she had come to reclaim her fallen kingdom. The village elders gathered that night. A legend was told, a prophecy older than the leopard clan itself. When the fire of the sun meets the darkness of the void, a child of both shall rise. She will either destroy the world, or save it. Nyah's chest tightened. Everyone turned to look at her. She was the child of fire and darkness. And now, she had to decide which path she would take. As the clan prepared for war, Nyah sought counsel from her father. But Jabari was gone. Vanished without a word. Then the guards found the bodies. Slain warriors, their throats cut. And on the walls, written in blood, Jabari's name. Nyah's heart shattered. No. He wouldn't. But then, she saw him. Standing beside the Shadow Queen. Her father had betrayed her. The Shadow Queen's army arrived at dawn. It was a massacre. Nyah fought with all her might, but she was outnumbered. And worse, she could not bring herself to fight her father. Jabari stood before her, sword drawn. "Surrender, Nyah. It is the only way." Tears blurred her vision. "Why are you doing this?" His face was unreadable. "Because I know the truth. You are the real threat." As Jabari struck, Nyah's power exploded. The sky burned with golden fire. The land trembled. Her mind shattered as visions flooded in, memories not her own. She saw the truth. The Shadow Queen was her grandmother. And her father had been trying to protect her all along. The real enemy was not him. It was herself. Nyah turned to the Shadow Queen. "You want my power," she said, voice shaking with fury. "Then come and take it." The Shadow Queen smiled. "As you wish, child." The final battle began. Nyah fought like never before. Fire against shadow. Light against darkness. The land itself screamed as their power clashed. And then, Nyah made her choice. She did not fight to destroy. She fought to heal. And with one final burst of light, she banished the Shadow Queen forever. The battle was won. But Jabari lay dying. Nyah ran to him, tears falling. "You can't leave me." Jabari smiled weakly. "I was never meant to stay." He touched the glowing beads around her neck. "But you were meant to shine." And then, he was gone. The leopard clan mourned. But from the ashes of war, they rebuilt. Nyah stood before them, no longer a lost girl. She was a warrior. A leader. A legend. And she swore her father's sacrifice would not be in vain. Years later, a young child sat by the fire, listening to a storyteller. "Tell us about the girl of the glowing beads," the child begged. The storyteller smiled. Oh, but that is no ordinary tale. That is the story of Nyah, the warrior who turned darkness into light and became the greatest legend our land has ever known. The fire crackled. And the story began again.